Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Offhand. Today, we are going to be talking about J.J. Watt and his new deal, as well as how he impacts the whole NFC West. So it should be a fun conversation. Stick around. But first, my name is Andy. The man to my left is Child, and the man at the bottom is Steven. How are you guys doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Doing pretty good.
Can't complain with life. It's good.
Can't complain. That's good. That's good. That's good. So we all chilling today. We all vibing. J.J. Watt's vibing. He got a new deal, 2 years. 31 million, 23 million guaranteed, makes him the 11th highest paid defensive end and third on his new team of the defensive Cardinal of the Arizona Cardinals. He's the third highest paid defensive player for the team. So what do you guys think about that? You think he's worth the money? We'll go to Steven first.
I think JJ Watt, I think just the name is worth 31 million. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure Chai feels the same way, but if he doesn't, he's got a counter argument. But JJ Watt, I think if he hadn't had all those injuries in Houston, I think he would have a lot better career than he has had, and I think he wouldn't have been wasted away in Houston. So,
No, for sure, for sure. What do you think, Chad?
I don't know. I agree with Steven that he could have had a better career if he didn't have his injuries. I don't think his name does have weight. It obviously does. He's a great player, great defensive end. To me, he's being paid what he should be. He's the 11th highest paid D end, right?
Yeah. 11th highest paid D end.
So to me, that makes sense. Based on his performances and his injuries, that makes more sense than him being paid like an Aaron Donald type of money.
Yeah, because he's not all the way up there. He's no longer on par with Aaron Donald, so it makes sense for him not to be the highest paid defensive player or even the highest paid defensive end. Especially since, like we all said, injuries have been a reoccurrence in his career. Last season he didn't have the best season either. He had 52 total tackles, 5 sacks. However, the bright spot was he did play all 16 games. Yeah. So even though he didn't produce, at least that's a step in the right direction of that he showed he was healthy and he had low numbers because there's no one else really on that defense it was just him. In Houston.
Random question. I didn't look it up. How old is he?
He's in his 30s, I feel like.
30, 31,
early 30?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, I want to say early 30.
So he's still got some time left if you really look
at it. Defensive players is a little different.
They lasted like 35, I think.
But with all the injuries he's had.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he was signed for 2 years.
There's a reason, It's a little bit of not reassurance.
So you think 2 years is his cap?
I don't think 2 years is his cap, but for safety reasons, as a team, you have to not want to like sign a man like that at his age for longer than 2 years.
Yeah,
because after those 2 years, he's getting signed for like 1-year contracts.
Then it becomes a liability.
Yeah, that's why it's just it was 2 years deal, a 2 years deal just to kind of protect the Cardinals. Because it's like, all right, if he does make it through these 2 years and he comes out healthy, he's still going to be a little bit older, so they can at least renegotiate and probably bring down the contract a little bit less from being like a little over 15 mil to maybe like 10 mil or something like that, depending on his production and how it plays out. But let's get away from JJ Watt, zoom out a little bit and look at the Cardinals. How do you think he helps the Cardinals? We'll start with Chai for this one.
He helps the Cardinals in the sense of they finally have like a real D lineman. For the most part, they've been like just bringing down their linebackers to play on their D line. So it's going to be nice to have a guy that's set there and just only plays that like a D line position at defensive end. He should have a better season this year if he stays healthy, considering how good the pass rush or the rush of the Cardinals has been. Should have at least maybe 3 more sacks than he did last year. I'm not going for like a crazy amount more.
No,
but
I think 8 sacks is pretty reasonable for him to have. Yeah. Definitely. Some other notable names on that defense, at least for the pass rush. You have Hassan Reddick, who was a monster last year. I believe he had about 13 sacks. The thing is, he's considered a linebacker, at least according to Pro Football Reference. You also have Chandler Jones, who's considered a linebacker, not really a defensive lineman, but he always brings a lot of pressure. He didn't put up great numbers, but he didn't need to. When I was looking up the stats of that defense, it really is like a committee. That's what it is. There's so many random players that have a couple sacks. You have like Isaiah Simmons, who had a couple sacks. You had Buda Baker, who's a strong safety, who had a couple sacks. It's really like a team effort on that defensive end. What do you think about their defense, Steven?
I'm going to agree with Chiab on this one. I think that's just another key element that they needed to be. They already were a contender to begin with, I think, personally.
I don't think they were a contender.
I think they were a contender. Not this season. I think next season, even without JJ Watt, if they didn't have JJ Watt this upcoming season, I think they would be a contender. Just the way their offense is looking. But now that they have JJ Watt on defense, I think he somewhat makes them even more a contender. But also, you got to look at the division he's in or they're in.
Yeah. Let's actually talk about their division. So the Cardinals are in the NFC West. The NFC West has the Cardinals, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. It's a pretty good division, pretty decent. Would you guys consider this to be maybe not the best division, but would you guys consider it to be one of the better divisions in the league? Maybe the best?
I think it's the best division of football, bar none.
Yeah, you could say it's either one or two. It's not lower than two because they're the best one in the NFC for sure. They're the most competitive.
You take any team from that division and put them in like even the AFC East where the Dolphins are, they'd easily be contenders. They're easily contenders right now, but they're in that basically stacked division where it's kind of impossible if it's that competitive.
Yeah,
because
like if we run through it, right?
Always gonna say that again.
Like if we just run through it real quick. So you had the Rams, who have just like star power alone. You have Aaron Donald. You have now Matthew Stafford, which is an upgrade from Jared Goff. They were in the Super Bowl just a little while ago. Yeah, the 49ers in the Super Bowl just a little while ago. They were 6-10 this past season, bottom of the division, but they didn't have a lot of players. They had a bunch of injuries. Then you have the Cardinals, who have young Kyler Murray with freaking DeAndre Hopkins, and now J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, and that stacked defense. And then you also have a little team called the Seahawks with a guy called Russell Wilson, who's pretty good. He was in the MVP race this past season, even though he had a terrible O-line, which we'll get into in a little bit. So how would you guys, since it is such a competitive division, how would you, maybe if you want, you can rank the division, but who do you think would come out the division next year? You had the Seahawks, who were first in the division at 12-4. You had the Rams, who were second at 10-6. You had the Cardinals at 8-8, who were third, and you had the 49ers that were 6-10, that were fourth last season. So let's start with Chaya. Chaya, who do you think is first in the division next year? Who do you think comes out?
For me, I would say the number one in that division would probably be the Rams, just because their defense was a number one overall defense in the league last year. Okay. And I think they upgraded at quarterback with Stafford. For sure. So I think they'd be one. At two, that's where it gets hard, because depending on how good the 49ers team comes back, they could, like, honestly, all I would say the 49ers and Cardinals are interchangeable at 2 and 3. And then I'm going Seahawks 4, because I just don't, I'm not confident in them. I know Russell Wilson's been a great competitor, but
they might leave that division.
Yeah. We'll get into that in a little bit. We'll get into that a little bit later. We're gonna say a little bit later. But Steven, tell me how you would rank the NFC West next year when it's all said and done.
I'm gonna go for number one. I'm also gonna go LA, just because they both have the number one defense, and now they pretty much told all of us that they're going all in to win a championship this year because they signed Matt Stafford. So I'm going them number one. I'm gonna go the Niners number two, just because they were only 6-10 because of all the injuries they had this season. Without all those injuries, I mean, you saw the season before, their Super Bowl runner-ups, if you will. But for number three, I'm going to go the Cardinals.
Dang.
I mean, for pretty obvious reasons.
And
the Seahawks, I don't want to put the Seahawks that low because I like the Seahawks. I like Russell Wilson. But like Chayeb said, you can't really trust their O-line. You can't really trust Pete Carroll anymore, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama going on over there. That's for sure. I think what I would do is, I think it's consensus the Rams would be one. That just makes too much sense. For 2, I think I'd put the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray makes that leap. People, there's a lot of speculation that he would possibly be in the MVP race this season. I thought that was a little too much hype because of DeAndre Hopkins getting there, so everyone was fully on board. But I think he is a great quarterback, and he's proven some flashes that he can be a great quarterback. So I think he takes another leap, and he shows what he's worth in this 3rd season coming up next season for him. So I'd put him in the Cards at 2 with that great defense. And then I think I put the Seahawks at 3. I think Russell Wilson is too good if he stays there, and he finds a way to just power through that offense and keep them alive in games. They went 12-4 this year. I don't even know how they did that when they had a really bad defense. The defense was 15th in points allowed, and they were 22nd in yards. So they gave up a bunch of yards. They were averaging giving up points, but in offense, they weren't even that great. But they were in the division. They actually had the most points, 4. So I would put Russell Wilson and the Seahawks at 3 if he stays there, and I'd put the 49ers last just because they have a great defense, right? But I don't trust Jimmy G, and they lost their defensive coordinator, which I think we forgot. Robert Saleh.
I did forget he went to the Jets. Saleh.
I know how to write it. I don't know how to say it, but they lost their defensive coordinator, and I think that will be a big blow for them. Do they go 6-10 again? I don't think so. They might be a little bit better. Maybe they go 8-8, but I think I'd probably put 49ers at the bottom of the division if Russell Wilson stays there.
Yeah, I feel like it would be like it's going to be the tightest division, like how in the opposite way of the Cowboys, Washington football team, and that division. It's going to be in the opposite. It's going to be very competitive in in their division.
Very, very.
And it sucks because if you take any team from the West and put them on NFC East, easily champions of that division, easily.
Bro,
even
yeah.
Last place in that division is easily
well, the AFC. Well, the Bills are pretty good. Let's not.
No. And the NFC East.
Washington.
Oh, I heard AFC. My bad.
Washington.
NFC East is hot garbage. You could pretty much take almost anybody and throw them in the NFC East, and they'll probably win the division. That's literally what happened this year, pretty much.
I think if the Patriots, even if the Patriots were in the NFC East, they would have made the playoffs very easily.
Dude,
I hate to say that.
It was ridiculous. That was such a sorry division.
Still a good
I thought the winner was 7-9. We're not talking about that today, though. We're not talking about the terrible NFC East. We should never be talking about them in reality until Dak Prescott gets a contract. Then we can talk about them. But it's because of JJ Watt's contract. How far do you guys think the Cardinals will go in these next 2 years? What do you think is the farthest they'll go?
I think they're going to make the playoffs. Not next season. Maybe next season, who knows? But I definitely think they're going to make the playoffs at some point. Do I think they're going to go as far as the Super Bowl? No. I think they're contenders. I just don't think they're actually going to go to the Super Bowl. I don't see them at all. I see he signed a 2-year contract with the Cardinals. Yeah. I see it taking longer for them to go to the Super Bowl than just 2 years. So
where do you put them then? You think wild card? Do you think they make it to the?
I think they make it to the divisional or the NFC Championship at some point.
Okay, so you think maybe year 2 they make it to the championship game?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's the thing. We also got to keep in mind you have the Saints, who we don't know who they're gonna get for quarterback, but they still have a good squad. You have the Buccaneers, who are a great squad, and then you have everyone else in this division pretty much being there. Chai, how far do you think the Cardinals will go these next 2 years?
This upcoming year, I think they can make the divisional round, but I don't know if they will. I feel like if they can upgrade their O-line a little bit, they could easily make the NFC Championship the following year after next year. And I don't see them as Super Bowl contenders yet. They haven't shown me that they're that elite yet, but they could sneak their way into a Super Bowl somehow, but I don't see it right now.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you guys. I don't see them making a Super Bowl. I just don't. I think it's just other teams that are too good, that have too many things figured out already. Because while the Cardinals do have a lot of talent, a lot of their talent is on the defensive end. Even though they have DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, that's pretty much it. Then you have Kenyon Johnson, who had a great season, but he's all right in reality. Larry Fitzgerald's really old. I would love to see him make a Super Bowl, but that's probably not going to happen with this squad. So they probably need a couple more offensive weapons to really get that going. And you have a relatively new head coach with Kingsbury. So I don't know if he's good enough to really take them to a Super Bowl within his first, would it be 4 years? Yeah. By the end of the 2 years, it'd be 4 years for him. I don't know if he's that good of a head coach either. So they still have a lot to prove in reality. So I'd probably say I think they make it to the playoffs, and that's pretty much it. I think they make it to wild card weekend, and that's it. I don't think they get past wild card weekend.
Wild card weekend.
Yeah, they get to wild card weekend. They get in as the second. They get second in the division, and they make it to the playoffs, but they don't win that game probably. Okay. I think that's what happens.
Unless they play someone in the NFC East.
Wait, no. Don't slander the name of Taylor Heinicke like that.
Exactly.
Don't slander the name of Taylor Heinicke.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That man will lead them to
slander him.
Watch the Washington football team dominate next season under that man. That'd be hilarious. Since we kind of mentioned it a little bit, with Chad mentioning O-line, I just thought it'd be a fun stat before we go into our next little bit about Russell Wilson, talking about O-line, right? So the Cardinals allowed the Cardinals were pressured 109 times last season. According to Pro Football Reference, pressured is defined as times the quarterback was hurried, hit, or sacked. So that happened 109 times last year for the Cardinals. That was the 28th most in the NFL. So pretty solid O-line, I think, in reality. The Rams, they were pressured 128 times, 20th most in the NFL. Again, pretty solid. That's on the back end. The 49ers pressured 167 times, 9th most in the NFL. Some problems there. The Seahawks pressured 181 times, 3rd most in the NFL. There is a reason, ladies and gentlemen, that Russell Wilson made that comment earlier about his O-line. The man needs help, and the man needs help. In fact, he might leave for that help. I know we're supposed to be talking about J.J. Watt, but J.J. Watt does not make that easier on Russell Wilson at all. That number probably goes up next year because of J.J. Watt being in the division. So do you think that J.J. Watt joining the division affects Russ possibly leaving the division? We'll start with Steven, because Steven kind of started that conversation a little bit earlier.
Well, you asked me this before we even started recording. So, and I was kind of like, I don't see that as a difference, but I also didn't keep into account that they were going to be facing the Cardinals twice a year.
Yes, sir.
So I'm definitely going to say that's definitely a factor. I'm not saying it's going to be the reason. I'm definitely saying it's a factor that he might think about leaving.
Oh, also to mention, so that number is probably going to go up not only because of J.J. Watt entering the division, but probably because of a resurgence of Nick Bosa coming back because he was out last season too. So that's the thing. Russell Wilson has to face Nick Bosa, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt twice a year each.
Yeah, he might have to face 3 top 10 defenses 6 times in 1 year. That is scary.
I mean, even Chicago looks like a better situation than that.
Yeah, homie. He just needs to get out of the division. So do you think that Russ?
Hey, if he wants to come to Miami, he could teach you to a couple things.
Nah, he's not. The Dolphins are not on his short list, so I don't think he's going to Miami. I'm not considered the same.
One can only hope, though.
That might be fun. I'm coming over to NOLA. That would be cool.
You settle down over there, okay?
You settle down over there.
Okay, I'm getting into this. Going to the Patriots.
Okay, wow.
You settle down there, okay? You settle down there. You guys have had enough prosperity to last you a good 2 decades, okay? Give the Saints something. Give the Dolphins something, okay? Let us have a little bit of tranquility.
Okay, well, let's get back to the original question. Steven, do you think what during the division affects Russ possibly leaving the division?
Yes.
Do you think he actually leaves, though?
Do I think he actually leaves?
Do you think next season Russell Wilson is in a New Jersey?
if it's a great deal, then yeah, 100%. I wouldn't want to be sitting there getting my behind tackled. So,
but like,
I was gonna say something else, but I can't because you wanted this speech.
Chaya, do you think that Russ may leave the division because of all this?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good possibility just because if the 49ers defense gets back to where it was, having to face again 3 top 10 defenses in the league in just your division 6 times a year for even just
tough.
2 years. Yeah. If he hits free agency next year and he doesn't get traded this year, I can totally see him just saying, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gone. It's over. I am too scared to play here."
Yeah, but do you think it happens? So do you think Russ is in a different jersey next year?
Like in a free agency thing? Yeah, for sure.
No, not a free agency thing. He gets traded, and next season, this upcoming season, he's in a different uniform. What do you think? Yes or no?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Interesting. Okay, I think next season he ends up in a different jersey. It's
What
just
jersey?
he ends up in a different jersey. He's on a new team somewhere. Who knows where? But he's somewhere else. He's no longer in Seattle.
The free agency jersey.
No,
No?
after. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they signed an extension. But next season he's not playing for Seattle. They've even come out and said, Seattle, the team, has come out and said that they don't like this drama that Russell Wilson is creating. And I'm pretty sure the GM might have left already. So it's like it's crumbling down over there in Seattle. So this is just the next thing to happen, I think. It's just has to for Russell Wilson. I think he just goes. It just makes too much sense. There's too many things happening. Where he goes to, I don't know. We'll probably cover that in another video though. So you guys have any final thoughts?
Nope.
No, Steven?
If Russ stays, he's gonna have a hard time. Then man.
I don't think he's dumb enough to stay.
Well, it's not his choice though. That he's gonna get traded.
Yeah, unless he wants to pull it. I mean, it's easier for him than Deshaun because Deshaun has a little bit of a longer contract. Russell Wilson can sit out for one season. He makes enough money. He could sit out for one season and take up all those fines if he really wants to. But I don't think if Seattle's smart, they'd probably just get rid of him and try to get somebody else. Just to kind of throw in really quick, the Jets have said that Sam Darnold is up on the trade block now. That they're open to trading him. So maybe Sam Darnold or Russell Wilson, throwing a lot of other things in there, but at least they get another quarterback because I think the backup quarterback for Seattle, at least last season, it was Geno Smith. So I don't know if you want Geno Smith facing JJ Watt. And
if they're playing the Dolphins, yeah, Geno Smith, I want him playing.
Yeah.
I really want him playing.
All right. Well, that's all the time for this episode. If you enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, everybody. Hope you have a great day. Bye.